Mosireen is a citizen media space collective that is in Cairo, based in Cairo. It started maybe 5 months after the beginning of the revolution as an idea of people who want to find a way to organize the efforts made to document the revolution and cover the revolution and represent or send a message about what's happening, and also support the movement that has been already there from maybe 2005 but took different forms. Citizen journalists before used to blog, and when the time changed and people had phones, they then started the filming and making videos and tweeting and all the social network movements. In the very beginning, Mosireen wasn't made to produce videos, but rather to support the already existing citizen journalist movement with tools and trainings and support. But when there was a strong attack against the revolution using the traditional media sources, we thought that it's important to produce videos to tell the truth that we've experienced, the truth that we've seen, that isn't being said on normal sources.
And your background is you're mostly activists and filmmakers and artists?
Yes, most of the people involved in Mosireen's work are either filmmakers and activists, or activists that learn to make films, or artists.
Sure.
So most of us working in Mosireen or in the collective are activists and filmmakers, or people who learned to make videos recently. But the thing is, everyone is an activist before they are anything else. So they're usually in the protests and in the campaigns and in the movements. And filming is just an extra thing that we thought of, using the tools that we have to maybe do something that will be useful for the revolution.
And you said it partly grew out of some people who were involved with the media tent in Tahrir Square during the revolution?
Yes, during the beginning of the revolution, the first sit-in, some people from the founders of Mosireen with other activists made a tent in the square called the media tent to collect footage from the people coming to Tahrir Square that shows the violence made by the police during the 28th, 29th, 30th of January. Back then, the reason why they did this was we thought we can use this material to take them to court and put them in prison, the police who committed these crimes against the protesters. And I remember very well, we were actually just concentrating on these 3 days when the violence was very, very high. And after that, this was used as a base of an archive to collect footage from the different events of the revolution. And we continued working on it till this moment. We are collecting footage from outside Cairo, from around Egypt, and from the different events that are happening every month. The aim is, of course, to have an online archive and put everything online, but we need some kind of filter, because not everything should be online, not everything is safe to be online for the people or in the videos, since the situation now isn't very safe in general. But also, this was the reason why we started a project called Tahrir Square, which is to project images and footage from the revolution in the square during the... Okay, طب ممكن تكتب ايميل تقول ايه الوضع؟ Okay, let me... Okay.
No problem.
It was also also this archive gave us the idea of Tahrir Salma, which is using material and showing it to people in Tahrir Square during the July sit-in. Either people who are newcomers who are coming recently to the square and didn't experience the beginning of the revolution, or didn't know why people are still protesting, or people who have been in these events and just gave them a new, fresh reminder of what happened, because they see the events and they remember, oh yes, I was there, I saw this person doing this thing, I saw this person dying next to me. It was very, very emotional and a very good way to interact with the audience in the street and not just be locked to the audience on the internet.
Mm-hmm. So you projected, there were projections, right?
Yeah, there were projections on the screen, and we used a projector and a screen or on the wall somewhere. And then this idea was taken afterwards outside of the square and everywhere during the Kadibun movement, which is the liars movement, projecting films and videos showing the army violations during Mohammed Mahmoud and the cabinet events everywhere in Cairo, everywhere outside.
Those were the attacks on protesters in November and December?
Yes, November and December. So we also made videos and showed them everywhere with other people who did the same thing. And the most important thing in Kadibun, which took the idea of street screenings a bit further, is it was very not centralized. Everyone took the videos from CDs that we distributed or just downloaded them from the internet and got a projector and a screen and screened in their neighborhood. They didn't need us to organize anything. We made some kind of guideline on how to organize a successful street screening, what to do, what you need, electricity, security, that you need to be in an area where you're familiar with people living there so that they won't attack you or anything. And then it was spread everywhere. There were maybe 10 or 20 screening every day for 1 or 2 months. And I believe and I claim that this was one of the reasons why the 25th of January in 2012 was so full. After 1 year of trying to distort the revolution, people still went out to the square and to the streets and said, down with the military law and with the military rule, and the revolution continues. And
you said the state media was not showing these kinds of clashes, like people would have different work ethic also.
Not only the state media weren't showing this kind of footage, but also showing the opposite of it. They were trying systematically to distort the image of the revolution and to accuse activists of being spies or being agents for whoever they think. And this was being done very intensely for 1 year. And now the idea of the street screening is taken on many other things, because we don't believe that the people don't know that the army has committed violations and crimes anymore, but they don't know what to do. So we're still using our tools, which is making films, and the tactic of street screening to support many other campaigns. Right now we have a boycott campaign. Some people use it to make for some presidential candidates campaigns. We're thinking of having a new Kadibun season 2 kind of about the real reasons why the army is very violent and what the army is trying to protect, which is the neoliberal economies of policies of the past regime, and how the people should rise for their economic rights, for the main reasons I believe and we believe the revolution happened. So it continues. We're still working on it.
Sorry, and you said, just to make that clear, so you said that during people from state media or maybe the private channels as well, they just have a whole different approach to what's happening, but you actually film things at night, partly because you're there.
What I was saying is the main difference between, I believe the main difference between the citizen journalists and the normal reporters is that the citizen journalist is an activist in the first place. They are there in the protests because they want to be there, because they are part of the protest. They're not there just to cover it, and they're not there to take an objective, quote and unquote, position. We claim to be saying the truth, but we know that this is not objectivity. I'm not going to go and interview policemen wounded from protester stones and show violence on both sides. No, I'm very, very biased to the revolution, and we don't shy out from calling for action and calling for people to go to the street, which is also a main difference. We show what's happening from the middle of the action and not from a distance. And I guess this is a difference. Normal reporters I saw during the long times of violence and action between the protesters and the police would go home at a specific hour because they finished their work. And this is mainly the time when the police or the army come to crush the protest because there aren't any traditional media to film what's happening. But protesters with cameras and with phones then start to film.
That's actually when you were shot yourself, is that right?
Yes. I was shot at 11 at night.
And that was was that in?
That was in February 2012. Was
February
this year. During the post-Borsai massacre violence or events.
So it was during protests against the
Yes.
lack of security during the
Exactly.
Borsai.
It was angry protest against the Ministry of Interior and accusing them of being part of why this massacre happened and planning that this massacre would happen. And I was there filming, basically. And then I got shot because I was very close to the shield cars that the police would use to shoot protesters. But that was, the funny thing is that was 1 kilometer far away from the Ministry of Interior, and they were claiming on the television that they were protecting the Ministry of Interior from being they were protecting the Ministry of Interior from being stormed in by protesters and destroyed, which wasn't the case. People were outside, far away, protesting. Some people were close, but this doesn't give them the reason to shoot them dead. Anyway, I was shot a big distance away from the Ministry of Interior.
And you were actually filming them shooting at the time?
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, is it right, one of your films, I think I embedded this film that you actually talked about what happened to you, that you documented that because they were saying that nobody, was it that the authorities were saying they didn't shoot anyone, or they didn't use birdshot?
That was like the 5th day after they had been shooting people. And some people were dead, some people were badly injured, some people lost their eyes. I was very lucky not to lose my eyes. I was shot 3 times. First time in the face, and then 2 times when I was lying on the floor. 3rd time when I was being carried with my friends, to the extent some of the people who were carrying me also got shot in their back. So it was so meant to maybe kill, not just to wound protesters. And I wasn't carrying any kind of weapon in my hands, not even a stone. I was carrying a camera. Not that I defend them shooting people with stones, because this is a self-defense moment where you're being shot at and you have to do anything possible to protect yourself and protect people next to you. And they were claiming on television and to the parliament that there weren't any arm fire used, no shot, no live ammunition, not even pellets. And that was very, very outrageous and disgusting that the parliament clapped to the Ministry of Interior, believing them. After a couple of days from that, they sent some fact-finding committee to the hospitals, and they found people lying there, and guess what? People have been shot. Hundreds of people. 50 people in 1 week lost their eyes. So it was really, really outrageous. And this is not the first time. It was maybe the 3rd time they do this during the revolution. So
the 3rd time they would shoot and then deny, you mean, or the 3rd time they?
Yeah, it wasn't the first time they would be that violent and deny that it all happened, as if no one was there.